Hi, I'm Jordana, and welcome to my podcast, my first ever episode. Hopefully, I'll be able to succeed in the technical aspect, so this won't be my last. Welcome to my podcast. Welcome to my home. This is my home here in the beautiful Shomron Sumerian Hills. It is now September 25th, Wednesday. This is my home. You can see a lot of toys. I'm Jordana is on my American birth certificate, and that is why we are calling this the Jordana River for a few reasons. We'll get into that later on. Just so you guys can see the view of the Shomron Hills. Here are the beautiful olive trees. You can see a car driving. And we are right now in the evening. It is about 4:30 in the evening here on Wednesday, September 25th, here in Israel. Just to give you a little overview of what we see here. We got my son's toys. I am 36 years old and a happy, proud mother of a 6-year-old boy. He has his Batman mobile, Batman house, trucks, tanks, of course. The book area and the living room. What we're going to do here in our podcast, the Jordana River podcast, basically we're going to be talking mostly about current events here in Israel. We're going to touch upon America as well, maybe Europe sometimes, and the whole world in general, focused on Israel, of course. And I would love to share with you both the informative part and my angle on things. You can agree, disagree, of course. So I'm really, really excited to start. First of all, we'll start with the name, Jordana River. Why did I decide to call it the Jordana River? Well, first of all, that's my name, Jordana. In Hebrew, it's Yerdana. We were born in America. My family and I, when I was about 6 years old, we made Aliyah, which means we moved to Israel. My parents have named all of my siblings and me Jewish Hebrew names that are very connected to the land. Jordana is one of them, in the name of Jordan River. And it's a funny story because about maybe a few months ago, I work in a workplace that has both Jewish workers and Israeli Arab workers. And one of the Arab workers, which whom I was talking to, said, Yordana, is that named after the Nahar HaYarden, after the Jordan River? And I said, well, yeah. So I like to call it the Jordana River because we're going to be discussing the Jordan River. We're going to be discussing our beautiful God-given land of Israel. We're going to be discussing current events and my angle. And we're going to be talking about we're going to have a window inside of the Jordana way of seeing things. And we're going to try to flow like the river. So please bear with me. Okay, so that was a little introduction. Today, like I said, is September 25th, 2024. We are at a pivotal point here in Israel and in the Middle East and in the world. We are at the brink of war. You heard it here first. No, I was totally not the first one to say this. This is circulating all over the news now. Israel is right now at a pivotal point with our northern enemy, Hezbollah, a terrorist guerrilla organization. It's an Iranian-backed, Iranian-funded terrorist guerrilla army, essentially, that they have been, together with Hamas, they have been waging warfare with thousands of rockets launched into Israeli territory since October 8th, a day after the most barbaric, atrocious, sadistic, horrific attack that Hamas waged against Jews, against Israelis, after they breached the border fence on October 7th. We'll get to that soon. Hezbollah joined them on October 8th, a day later, in order to pressure Israel from both the south on Hamas and on our northern border by Hezbollah, and to essentially stretch our capacities, stretch our military, and into two fronts. And it's basically a war of attrition, and we just were not fully able to. We are considered a relatively small country. We were not able to stretch our limits that way, and to have full resources allocated to the north. But we are almost 12 months after the most horrific attack on Jews and on the Israeli state. In one day, a genocidal, sadistic, horrific murder spree where they raped our women, beheaded our people, burned babies alive. Sorry for the graphic details, but we have to mention them. And it was the biggest pogrom against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. It's almost 12 months later, and we are now we have, thank God, successfully completed the intensive war that we have went since October 7th to defend ourselves, to try to rescue our hostages. I'm sorry, I was remiss to mention 250 Israeli hostages were taken on October 7th by Hamas and were brutally tortured and held, and some executed, in the Gaza Strip, where they have been keeping them, hiding them in torturous conditions in the Gaza Strip, in civilian homes, innocent civilian homes, in the tunnels. Right now, we have about 101 hostages still remaining there. 12 months in, and we are on the brink of a full-scale war with Hezbollah, which was, of course, unprovoked by us. Like, as I mentioned, since October 8th, when Hezbollah joined their brethren Hamas in attacking Israel, they have launched thousands of rockets, mostly into Israel's northern region. About 80,000 Israelis were forced to evacuate, essentially, from their homes on about mid-October was the decision to evacuate them, October 8th to mid-October, because of fear of a similar invasion, God forbid, by Hezbollah in the north of our country, just like the barbaric, horrific attack Hamas perpetrated in the south of our country. And they have been launching thousands of rockets into the northern region mostly, but they have been increasingly deepening into the center of Israel. And today we woke up to sirens where a ballistic missile was launched into Tel Aviv, a central town, big city in Israel, in the center of Israel. Again, there were nonstop launches of rockets, thousands of rockets since the beginning of the war, October 8th. But this is once again, it has becoming increasingly worse and deeper into our country. And we now have more resources and more attention, more availability to launch a full-scale war. And this is about a week after what's known as the beeper attack on Hezbollah terrorists. That was attributed to the Israeli intelligence agency. Israel did not take full responsibility, but it was attributed to Israeli intelligence forces. And the beeper, or if you will, a pager, this was the most creative, brilliant attack on Hezbollah terrorists. The reason I'm smiling is, let me just set the record straight. We are talking about Hezbollah terrorists. These are people who murder Israeli civilians. They aim to murder as many Israeli and Jewish civilians as possible. A few months ago, this same guerrilla terrorist organization, Hezbollah, killed about 10 Arab children in the Israeli Arab town in the north of Israel called Majd al-Shams. About 10 Arab Israeli kids from the Druze community were blown to smithereens while they were playing in a soccer field on Saturday. This is an organization who is brutal and sadistic. And so when Israel, or what's attributed to Israel, launched this amazing operation, the Beeper attack. I have here my son's Walkee Talkees. This was an attack on about 4,000 to 5,000 pagers held by Hezbollah terrorists all over Lebanon, some in Syria. These were some high-ranking Hezbollah terrorists, high-ranking terrorists, and from the whole range. And what was amazing about it is that it was so surgical and accurate with minimal. I think there was maybe one person, one civilian who was killed in Lebanon, but besides that, I have not heard more. They were able to simultaneously detonate and blow up 4,000 to 5,000 pagers that were being held by the Hezbollah terrorists at the time across Lebanon, which inflicted injuries and deaths to these Hezbollah terrorists. The following day was the Walkee Talkee attack, where the same thing happened. The medium of communication for the Hezbollah terrorists has been these pagers, these walkie-talkies, in order to evade Israeli intelligence forces from intercepting their airwaves on the phone. This is how they communicate. And so the following day, on Wednesday, last week, what's attributed to Israeli intelligence has launched the Walkee Talkee attack, where about, I think also 1,000 or more approximately Hezbollah terrorists holding walkie-talkie devices the walkie-talkies were simultaneously detonated from remotely and exploded into the Hezbollah terrorists. This is a very good thing, even cause to celebrate. And the reason I say this, once again, I think that the world is a little bit confused, and I would like to clarify. When murderers, terrorists, people who aim to kill Jews, Israelis, innocent civilians, no different from the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center or any other terrorist attack against humanity, crimes against humanity, against civilization. This is a fight. This is a war that is between good and evil. It is such a deep yet such a fundamental war that our world is waging right now, between the forces of good fighting the forces of evil. So when Hezbollah is aiming to kill Jewish and Israeli civilians, innocent civilians, and when their terrorists are blown to smithereens, that is a good and joyous occasion. So we started with my angle. That's my angle. You could agree, disagree, but that is how I feel. That's how I see it, and that's how I feel. Anyone who has a conscience, anyone who looks at the current events and wants to know, what is the right thing. The right thing is always when innocent civilians are being killed, and the people, the Israeli military has been waging a war against Gaza and Hamas, who is in power in Gaza. That is not in order to kill civilians, that is in order to eliminate the threat coming out of Gaza, the Gaza Strip. Yeah, so just a little background. Excuse me. A little background about the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip is a relatively small strip, piece of land, part of Israel, which Israel has conquered in the 1967 war, the Six-Day War, after we were attacked by many Arab countries on all sides surrounding us. After we were attacked unprovoked, we conquered the Gaza Strip. It's the strip that's on the shore, okay, the shore of the Mediterranean Ocean and the south of Israel. And in 2005, Israel decided to we had, since we conquered it, we had beautiful Jewish, thriving agricultural communities, what's known as Gush Katif. It's in the Gaza Strip, beautiful Jewish communities with greenhouses, agriculture, vegetables, produce that they produced, beautiful, beautiful, flourishing towns. All they wanted to do was live as Jews. A lot of them were farmers, and they basically, in 2005, due to our government at the time, our decision, we unilaterally expelled our own Jewish citizens from those thriving communities in order to unilaterally give it away to the Arabs living in Gaza, the Arabs who were living in Gaza. Again, we had an agreement with ourselves. It was not an agreement with any Arab government or, officials. This was an agreement which we decided with ourselves to unilaterally. Oh, my nephews and nieces are here. 1 second. Okay, sorry for that interruption. Back to a very serious topic. We just gave away this beautiful strip of land and expelled about 9,000 Jewish citizens in what was called the disengagement, which was really the expulsion from. We expelled ourselves from the Gush Katif Jewish communities, which were destroyed and handed over to the Arabs who were living then in Gaza in order to create, I'm not sure exactly what. We won't get into that now. This was 2005. 2007, the Arabs living in Gaza elected Hamas as their preferred government. Hamas terrorists basically had to take over. They killed their own people. They killed the other Arab party, what's known as the Palestinian Authority, which is no different than Hamas in essence. Essentially, it's the same. They have the same doctrine to kill Jews. They're both very committed to killing Jews. But they killed, in order to reign and take over, they have killed Palestinian Authority, terrorists, and their own people. They threw people from rooftops. It's funny because, in college campuses across America now, a lot of the students are supporting Hamas murderers, which is an interesting thing, I guess. And the LGBTQ community has also been supporting Hamas terrorists, but little do they know, it's ironic, it's sad, Hamas terrorists throw gay people off rooftops. They have an extremist, fundamentalist, Islamic ideology where they wage the holy war of jihad. I'm not an Islamic expert, but that is what they believe in. First of all, killing Jews. And second of all, taking over the world essentially. in the name of Allah, in the name of God, for the holy war, where it's very extreme, violent, and that is what their ideology stands for. So in 2007, Hamas took over, and I guess the world, or Israel, we expected the Hamas and the Arabs in Gaza, who got this beautiful strip of land with greenhouses still in place by the Jewish settlers, to create a beautiful resort region, a Singapore is what they called it, to create a beautiful resort. Unfortunately, that is not what they create. That is not what they created. They create one thing and one thing only: terrorism. And they basically had dug hundreds of underground tunnels, which were aimed at both defense and offense. Offense meaning kidnapping Israelis and hiding them in tunnels, and then hiding themselves out in tunnels. And that is basically, Gaza became one big greenhouse of tunnels and terrorism. So that's what happened, and now we are in 2024. On October 7th, 2023, the horrific, sadistic pogroms, if you will, atrocities that Hamas perpetrated against the Jewish people and against Israelis of all types. They basically breached the border fence in many different spots across the fence, this big wall, big fence that separated the Israeli communities, the Jewish communities in the Gaza envelope, and separated them from the Gaza Strip that was given to the Arabs unilaterally. They breached it in violent attacks, simultaneous with hundreds of rockets that they launched in order to create a decoy. Jewish residents, Israeli residents in these southern Gaza envelope communities ran for cover in their houses. After hearing sirens for the rocket launches, they ran into their houses, into what's called the safe space, or bomb shelters. A lot of houses in Israel have bomb shelter. Unfortunately, in light of our security situation over the years and different wars where rockets are launched at us, we have a bomb shelter almost, in the new houses for sure, and if not in the new house, so almost on every block in Israel or so, there's a bomb shelter. When the Jews in the kibbutzim, the southern agricultural communities in the Gaza envelope, many different communities ran into the bomb shelters, the barbaric, sadistic terrorists just ravaged the communities, butchered the communities, raped women, mutilated Jews, beheaded people, burned babies alive. I'm sorry to repeat this again, but it's very important to get the facts straight. And when a lot of the Jews went to their bomb shelters, what the horrific terrorists did was, first of all, they just roamed around the towns, without any interruption. They would go into houses, shoot at the rooms, shoot at the houses, try to get the Jews to get out of the bomb shelters. So they would throw grenades, which would allow them to create fire. A lot of people were burnt alive. People that tried to hide out in their bomb shelters, many of them just weren't able to lock the door of the bomb shelter, and the terrorists were able to invade the bomb shelters. Once again, raped, kidnapped, and butchered, destroyed whole families, kidnapped 250 Israelis on that day, brought them back into the Gaza Strip, where they brutally tortured them and held them. Till this day, we have about 101 hostages still remaining there. And like I said, Hezbollah joined the party, so to speak, on October 8th, a day later, when in the north of Israel, we had the barrages of rockets, and 80,000 Jews had to evacuate from those towns. So fast forward to a week ago, we had the Walkee Talkee and beeper attacks. Those are my son's walkie talkies, which is a very happy occasion when terrorists are killed. And so now, basically, Israel is switching gear, and we're giving Hezbollah basically a choice. It's basically a choice to either pull out, retreat their guerrilla murderous terrorists from our border. They're sitting right there on our northern border, shooting rockets at our towns, into our land, to have them pull out and go, to retreat, so to speak, to the Litani River and beyond, so that our 80,000 Israeli civilians can return to their homes in safety and peace, back to the northern town communities. Or they could keep getting strikes, which Israel has changed gear. We are starting to strike back in our own initiative, not just reactively. And they're getting, how do you say, the living daylights beaten out of them, which is a good thing, once again. And they have a choice. They could either pull out, stop being terrorists, or they could continue being terrorists. What do you think they're going to do? A terrorist knows one thing: to be a terrorist. They do not want to stop. The only thing that is sort of somewhat restraining them is the fact that, like as I mentioned, Hezbollah is an Iranian proxy. They are doing Iran's dirty work for them. There's a known kind of saying, kind of a joke, how Iran is not, they're not Arab people. They're a Muslim religion, most of the people there, but they are not an Arab people. And they're a little bit more, they think things through, and they're more patient. They're known to be very kind of like, evil geniuses in a way, and they are restraining Hezbollah from fully utilizing all of their capabilities against Israel, because they do not want to lose Hezbollah as one of the arms of the Iranian octopus. They don't want to lose Hezbollah as their asset, as their proxy asset. They want to hold on to them for a rainy day, when they want to attack Israel themselves. So we are on the brink of war. Israel, we are preparing and prepared for more full-scale war. Wow, this was kind of a heavy first episode podcast. It was really great. Just to get on air, to say hi, and I wish all of you, Jews, Gentiles, good people of the world, a good week, good rest of the week, and may the good prevail. I'm gonna leave you off with a beautiful view, once again, of our Shomron Hills, the olive trees, and the beautiful, beautiful mountains. And I just want to say thank you for joining me, and it was really great to have you listen to me. I hope you enjoyed the same. And I just want to leave you off with a beautiful, beautiful song by the singer Eyal Golan, who is a famous Israeli singer who wrote this song and sings this song since the war broke out on October 7th. Am Yisrael Chai, the nation of Israel lives and is alive. Thank you for joining us. Stand up for the good, and take care of yourselves. Be well. Bye for now.